Good evening, YouTube. I hope this video is finding you well. This is Jason, aka Bit Junkie, back with another video. Today we're going to discuss USI-Tech. My inbox is flooded with questions and talking points and discussion about USI-Tech. There seems to be a tremendous amount of thirst for knowledge about USI-Tech. So I felt this video was overdue. I needed to make it. I did one for BitConnect about where they legit and just kind of breaking down the math. You know, I can't speak to people, the actors in the space. You never know when you're dealing with a bad actor. You know, Bernie Madoff was a highly regarded and sought after investor, and you never knew things were wrong until they were wrong. So, me personally, I attack things from a mathematical equation first, and you try and figure out the actors later, and you adjust your risk accordingly. That's my philosophy and the way that I approach things. Because if the math doesn't work, nothing works, right? You start there. If the math doesn't work, there's no reason to even interview anybody. So I've been invested in USI-Tech since October the 5th. I've been very happy with it, but I mean, it's a Bitcoin-based investment. It's hard not to be happy with a Bitcoin-based investment this year, right? But let's do some math anyway and see what we can come up with. They're a very different proposition than the last video we did about BitConnect, because this is not a mathematical equation. This is more a company that's offering a service, and they're paying you back in Bitcoin, and they're taking Bitcoin investments, and it's just a different way to approach. But we're going to try and dig into it a little bit. First, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I mean, we're at $194 billion market cap. When I got into this space, the market cap was around 80 billion, and the market cap for cryptos in general was around 140 billion, and now we're at $350 billion. I mean, $1 trillion is in sights. Crypto is not going anywhere. It's here to stay. Blockchain, crypto, it's here to stay. All right, let's talk USI-Tech. Like all videos, sorry, I'm supposed to start at the bottom. What I do is I create some type of visual for you, so it makes it easier to follow. So the way USI-Tech works is they sell packages, right? And they deem a package is 50 euros worth of Bitcoin. So if you want to enter 1,000 euros into their system, that would be 20 packages, right? You would convert that to Bitcoin and send it to them for an investment, because they only accept Bitcoin. And the terms of their investment is 140% return. All right, now the way they pay that out, they pay you daily, principal and interest, and their target is to pay you 1% return per day until it adds up to 140%, right? Now they pay you that only Monday through Friday, so they're closed on the weekends. All right. Now, their repayment method and how they're paying you back is through trading, that is artificial intelligence assisted, and also through the mining, which is artificially intelligence assisted. And they also have a coin offering that they're going through right now. And there's going to be 1 billion coins ultimately, and currently I think they've sold a little over 60 million of the coins. All right. So the way their system is set up is of the money that comes to them, 35% goes to the compensation package. All right. Now, if everyone was to max out compensation package, the compensation goes 12 levels deep. And from the interviews that I've watched, they don't consider themselves a multi-level marketing company, but they use multi-level marketing to raise the money to do what they're doing. Okay. And that's fair. I mean, we're in a generation where crowdfunding has become a thing, and standard raising money through investors or going to your bank. People are getting creative. Okay. So they're using compensation multi-level. It's 35% if everyone was to max it out. And typically in that industry, about 50% of people or less max out compensation. Yeah. You could look at me. I had no interest in maxing out compensation when I got into this program. The reason I joined, it was because 1% a day that I could then compound is very attractive to me. As a trader, that's the holy grail of trading, is to be able to get a consistent daily return that you can compound, right? So that was the value that I saw in it. So I can understand that not everyone's going to chase compensation and it's not required. Okay. But what that does leave is 65% of the money that's invested is left. And if your goal is to make 140% return, in theory, that means you need to double the 65% of money that's left over the next 140 days. You need to double that money to hit the requirement. And the minimum is 0.75% a day that you're promising to pay out, which works out to be about 15% a month. Okay. So we'll revisit whether or not they can in fact do that or not. But let's do a case study. Okay. So what I did is my average return since I've been involved with USI, and these are just my results. This isn't guaranteeing anybody else's results, but I've been averaging 0.89% per day. Okay, that my first packages that I put in back on October the 5th, that's the average for that package. It's been in 43 days working or business days, and that's where I'm at, okay? So what I did is I went 157 working days backwards from today, December 5th, and I had to get a calendar out and count this manually to omit the weekends. You're welcome, by the way. I'm glad to do it. And so I went back to April 27th and I found out what the price of Bitcoin was on that date. And it was $1,310 roughly, up and down during the day, but that's about the average. All right. So for this case study, we're going to assume that we were going to invest $10,000 on that day into USI. So on that date, that would have been 7.63 Bitcoin. Okay. All right. So the daily average, we would have invested that. I don't know how many packages that would have bought. I mean, that's roughly $1,200, give or take. So it's probably about, however many packages that works out to be. That math is kind of irrelevant. Okay. So $10,000 invested in 7.63 Bitcoin. The average daily payout at 0.89% is going to be 0.679 Bitcoin per day. Okay. And remember how much that is in dollars or euros or yen is changing every day. You're getting paid back in Bitcoin, which is the magic of the system, right? All right. So if they're going to pay you back 140% of 7.63 Bitcoin, they owe you 10.682 Bitcoins. And it's going to take 157 working days to do that if they're hitting a 0.89% average. Okay. Now, if you do the math on that, as of the time that I made this sheet, which was a couple of hours ago, the price of Bitcoin was $11,566. So your 10.682 Bitcoin is worth $123,548 today on a $10,000 investment. Now, there's some that are going to say, well, Bitcoin, went up anyway, so you could have just held. Well, if you would have just held, you would have had 7.63 times $11,566. That would have been your value. The beauty of USI-Tech is that they're paying you 40% return on top of that, which pushes your Bitcoin total to 10,682. So that's the advantage of being paid in Bitcoin. I mean, it's a phenomenal return. And if Bitcoin didn't go up another dime, you still would be making 40% over 157 working days, roughly a little over 7 months at the rate that I've received. Okay. So it's an excellent investment. It's kind of a no-brainer. The only question that comes in, and this is where they're different than the BitConnect deal. You say, what is your risk? Well, I would say the risk is that Bitcoin stops appreciating, and even stop appreciating isn't really bad, is if Bitcoin was to revert and go in reverse, and make its way running to zero, or anything more than 40%, because they're returning 40% to you. So if Bitcoin loses aggregate 40% in value over the period of your loan term, you would be breaking even. And if it loses more than that, you could be losing some of your money. And if it went all the way to zero, you could lose your money. Now, I personally am betting on Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's ultimately going to be worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. That's my personal opinion, but I'm betting big on Bitcoin. So this platform is super enticing for me personally. Okay. But what are the risks? So you've got the Bitcoin risk, and ultimately the risk is here. The 65% that they have here to produce this daily return. If you were selling t-shirts, and I'm certain you could find t-shirts. Let's do $100 example. If you had $100 and you used $35 for your compensation package and you had $65 left, their goal is for every $100 with the $65 that's left is to make at least 75 cents per day. If you were buying and selling t-shirts, you could go buy with $65 5 t-shirts for $8 each, and that'd be $40. And you probably could sell the same 5 t-shirts for $10. Right? That's a reasonable margin. That's a 20% return. So what they're trying to do is not percentage-wise, is not an unreasonable feat. But there's the issue of scaling. If you only have to buy 5 t-shirts at $8 and sell them, you may have the market to do that. What if you had $500 million? You think you could offload all those t-shirts in one day too? Markets have caps, and there's scaling and capacity issues, right? So the returns, while impressive when compounded over a period of time, and the fact that Bitcoin is going to the moon, it's a no-brainer from that perspective. The question becomes, who's pulling the trigger, and what are you investing in to enable you that as you collect hundreds of millions of dollars to be able to continue to make those returns? Okay. So one of the things they do is arbitrage trading. Okay. So let's do an example of arbitrage trading. We'll take Bitcoin for an example because they trade in Bitcoin. For those that don't know, arbitrage in anything is basically buying for $1 and selling for $1.10. Okay. It's an opportunity when someone is offering to pay a certain price for something and someone is selling for a certain price, and there's a spread that's profitable in your favor that you can purchase from one place and sell it somewhere else and make a quick profit. Okay, that's the general easy definition of an arbitrage situation or scenario. All right, so let's take a look at the market for Bitcoin just to try and back up what they're trying to do here. You don't have to look far. So right here, you look at this exchange, and the price is $11,579 for Bitcoin. Okay. But you go here, and the price is $11,635. That's roughly $56 difference. Okay. Now, $56 may represent maybe 0.5% difference between these places. But if you had 20 or 30 or $50 million worth of Bitcoin at a time, and you were able to get that order filled, and you were able to buy at a lower price and sell at a higher price, there's room there to make profits. Okay. Now, this is a very simplified version. There's all, because a lot of you are looking at this and say, well, why wouldn't you just buy this one? And the reason you don't is because the pair is different. This is a different currency. This is Bitcoin in $1. This is Bitcoin in $1. That's apples to apples. You would have exchange. You would have to consider the exchange of the different currency in this equation. And it can get very, very complicated, which is why they use artificial intelligence. Basically, the artificial intelligence combs these exchanges and finds opportunities where there's divergence between pricing in where you can buy it one place and sell it somewhere else and make money off of the spread. And Bitcoin, as it stands now, is a very unsophisticated market. Okay, it's very new, and the market is very unsophisticated, and there's not as many institutional players in the market. So these opportunities for arbitrage are all over the place, and they're profiting from it. And there's a lot of people right now profiting from it. It's a huge income source for sophisticated traders. Okay, so that's one way that they're making money. The other way is in mining, and this is pretty exciting. On October 28th, they announced that they had a hydroelectric magnetic generator that produced electricity at an 80 to 90% less cost. So when you do mining, you get paid in coin for doing the mining. And 90% of the cost of mining is electricity. So if your electricity is 80 to 90% less expensive in an industry where 90% of the cost is electricity, that gives you a tremendous competitive advantage, first of all, for scaling up your company. And then secondly, it makes your mining very, very inexpensive, which, stands to reason. This is how you can make payments of this amount on a daily basis. All right. So in the end, there's an interview. I linked it and I'm going to put the link in the description box. There's a interview with the owner of the company. And he said that they're making on average around 25 to 40% a month. Arbitrage trading being probably the most profitable thing that they do. And the mining equipment and the low cost mining is a recent development that they've changed over the last month or two. It went live November 1st with the new platform, and they announced it on the 28th of October that that's what they were doing in the mining space. So it stands to reason that they can make these returns if everything that they say is true. Whether you believe that or not is totally up to you. I'm in the program. It's working pretty flawlessly. From this point on, I'm going to get more involved. I'm going to start going to their events, whether it be in London or Las Vegas or wherever they are, and get to know the people of the company a little bit better. Mathematically, I'm sorry that this video wasn't as mathematically in depth as the BitConnect video was, because it doesn't have to be. It's very simple. You loan them Bitcoin, they pay you back daily percentages, and they stop paying you once you hit 140%. And with Bitcoin's rise, it's kind of a no-brainer that it makes money. There was no way to do this equation for that it wasn't going to be, basically unbelievably impressive, which it is, because Bitcoin is unbelievably impressive. This is an opportunity to compile 40% more Bitcoin is what this is. And the risk is bad actors within the company, if they're there, which, you can only protect yourself against to an extent. You just have to do research on the company, and Bitcoin failing. Personally, I don't think Bitcoin is going to fail, so I'm all in with that side of it. On my channel, what I've created is a USI-Tech information playlist. Okay, so you go to my channel, you click the playlist, and you go in there to USI-Tech, and I have some videos in here, and there's 7 of them currently. And every time I run across something that I think is, useful, interviews with the owners, their business presentation, how you're supposed to do the withdrawal, that's more support for the people that signed up. The packages explained, and then this one here, the dinner with the director. This is a really good one. He talks the numbers, he explains the math. I'll be honest, I feel good about them. I do. I did a video, is USI-Tech the next Apple? If everything that they're saying is true, and there's only so much we can verify, but if everything they're saying is true, and their cost for mining is 90% cheaper, and Bitcoin continues to ascend, and their arbitrage trading, which I know works, especially in a volatile market, and the markets are going to get a little bit more volatile soon as more institutional money jumps in. We've got a nice little window here. I'm all in on USI-Tech, and they're a company. Much more than BitConnect was more of a mathematical equation that will work as long as Bitcoin is going up. This is more of a company with transparency and people behind it. And the math is simple. It's just based on Bitcoin. So if you believe in Bitcoin and you believe in the people that are there, or it makes sense to you, then I think it works. If not something you should look at. But that's my review of USI-Tech. Again, sorry it wasn't as mathematical as we normally get, because there's not really a lot of math to do. Bitcoin's awesome. That's kind of what you glean from it. This is the back office for USI-Tech and how you purchase the packages, and it shows you the running time is 140 days, but there's an asterisk. The return is 140%, but there's an asterisk, and you know that asterisk says that's not guaranteed. That's the target. This isn't guaranteed. That's the target. 1% a day is not guaranteed. It's the target, but that's the program. It's been working fantastic for me. The returns have been outstanding. Just owning Bitcoin is just beautiful by itself. So, like the channel, like the video, I should say, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell so you know when a new video is coming out. I try and be as transparent and honest with you as possible. My returns, my perspective on these things is just my returns and my perspective. This is not a call for you guys to jump in, but I will say that Bitcoin is a once in a lifetime opportunity, in my opinion. And I don't know how you should get into Bitcoin, but please find a way to get in somehow. Whether it's 1% or 10% of your portfolio or 5%, whatever it is, don't miss this boat just in case this is the once in a lifetime opportunity that it appears to be. So get involved, do something, find something that can accumulate you some more Bitcoin, buy some, put it in a wallet, join USI-Tech if you can, find something, to invest in Bitcoin wise. I'd hate to be sitting here 5 years from now and have to, go with I told you so on these things. That's all I have for today. Thanks for your time. And we'll be doing a BitConnect update video on the account coming up tomorrow. And have a blessed evening. Be good.